In this video, we're getting the Platinum Trophy for Neo The World Ends With You. I first heard of this series back in 2008, a little bit after it was released for the Nintendo DS, but I was never able to find and buy the game. But now, 15 years later, I saw that Neo The World Ends With You was available on the PS Plus, so I had to get it. This is a sequel to the game I heard about when I was a teenager, but you can play it without having played the previous one. The guide says it is an 80-hour platinum with a 4 out of 10 difficulty, but I disagree. I'll talk about it later. So the first thing I did was run through the story, unlocking my first trophy right on the first battle. Beginner's luck. Okay, first trophy. The battle system revolves around the spins that you get as drops or buy at shops. There are 333 of them in total, and each one of them gives you a type of attack or an amount of cash if you sell them. You gotta find and fully upgrade all of them for the platinum. So right at the start, I was cycling through the pins I was getting to reduce the cleanup stage time. So I soon popped this trophy for mastering one pin, which means that I fully level it up. Some of the pins can evolve after you level them, and that gives you a more powerful attack. I got this trophy after evolving my first pin. Evil Evolution. There are also shops and restaurants available, where the items you buy increase your stats. Clothes, or as they call it, threads, increase stats while you're wearing them, while food increases them forever. And there are trophies attached to buying all of the clothes and eating all of the food. 10 Pin Master. Okay, master 10 types of pins. I was still switching pins during the story, so the next trophy I popped was for mastering 30 types of pens. And I was also buying threads and going to restaurants to reduce time in the cleanup, so I got two trophies related to that. First one was for wearing a full outfit, and the other for wearing a full outfit of a single brand. And just like that, week 1 of the story was over, and with that I got this trophy. We meet Beat right at the start of the second week, and he's one of the OG characters from the DS game. He boosts your groove up to 200% instead of the 100 that was before. Groove is like a special bar that you feel by completing combos in fights, and that unleashes a powerful attack that does a bunch of damage or heals you. So I got this trophy when I boosted my groove to 200% for the first time. Because of the trophies attached to restaurants and the status bonuses, I was eating at them whenever I had the opportunity. I popped this trophy when I became a regular at my first restaurant. And a bit later, I got this one when I mastered my 50th pin. By the end of week 2, another character joins your party. Shoka boosts your growth up to 300%, letting you unleash a very powerful attack that does massive damage on the enemies called Killer Remix. I raised a full group of noise using this ability right when it was first introduced, unlocking this trophy. And then this one when I completed week 2 of the game. City Walker was a trophy that came naturally. You have to visit all areas of Shibuya to get it, and the game makes you go to all of them, so it's an unmissable one. My footage for this one got corrupted, but here's a screenshot. Week 3 was the last part of the game, and during this part I got these trophies. One for eating a lot of food and exceeding 100% fullness. One for taking down 1,500 enemies. 3 related to outfits and brands.
Guess I ain't on my game today.
1 for mastering 100 pins. And lastly, the trophy for finishing week 3 of the game. After that, I moved on to Another Day, which is a sort of a short story with the same characters, but set in a different reality. And now the true grind begins. There was a huge amount of stuff that's needed for the platinum, but thankfully you can work on a lot of them at the same time. I wanted to focus on cleaning up everything I could before I started to grind for pins, money, and levels. That means doing all of the side quests, erasing all pig noise, achieving gold medals on all dives, completing all remind images, getting all the rewards on Scramble Slam, and defeating all blue boss noises. So I went back to week 1, day 1 to start from there. You can also lower your level and up your difficulty to get more pin drops. There are also some pins that only drop on ultimate difficulty, so even though I wasn't going for all of the pins yet, there was a bunch of fights involved in this step where I could get drops from. And soon I was at week 1 day 6 for my first Scramble Slam. I had to get all of the rewards on all of 3 of them for a trophy, and for this first one I had to rack up 60k points. As you can see, my score from this first scramble was super low, and the other two weren't too different. The thing is you can chain this red noise with the orange skulls, cause this way they also give you points. If you battle them without chaining with the skull, they don't count. Another thing I didn't know was that you can also chain red noise with the human players, and you get points the same way. Then it's just a matter of raising the multiplier on the battles themselves to get a bunch of points. I had no idea if the speed you clear the enemies or the damage you take matter, but I think it
Get
doesn't.
shredded, yo!
I got this trophy right at the start for getting an 8 reduction chain battle.
There's more where that came from.
After some more cleanup, it was time for the second Scramble Slam. For this one, I had to get 400k points for all rewards, so once again it was time to farm points like crazy to achieve the goal. And I got this trophy for erasing 3000 noise right on my first reduction. A bit after that, I noticed that I was very close to 1 million yen, so I knew I would get made of money right after that battle. Because I hadn't unlocked everything on the social network, 1 mil was my money cap, so I took a break from fighting to do a bit of shopping and eating to spend some of that money, which would count towards these trophies. The more expensive threads give you a huge boost in stats, so while I was switching the character clothes, I noticed that almost everything Neko was using required 100 or more style to unlock an ability. I remembered that there was a trophy attached to that, so I just switched his hats real quick and got this trophy for having a character with a full outfit that required over 100 style to unlock abilities. But finally, after 4 hours, I was done with Scramble Slam and moved on to the next day. And after some more grinding, I got to week 2 day 6. And yes, that was another Scramble Slam. At least it was the last one, cause at that point I was getting tired of doing them even though I thought they were the best event in the whole game. And when I was doing the event, I got this trophy for becoming a regular at 8 restaurants.
Is amazing.
This one, for reaching VIP level 5 with 8 brands. And finally, the one for getting all of Scramble Slam's rewards. Sultan of Slam, let's go! Finally! Moving on to the rest of the days, I finally got 15 gold medals on Nagi's dive missions. I have to get gold in all of them to be able to 100% the social network, and I only found out there were more than 15 after the trophy popped, so I was super mistaken when I said I had done all of them. Terra perfect! Okay, so that's all dives. Nice. On week 3, day 2, I took a huge beating from the boss I was going for Secret Sleuth. I had already dropped the difficulty to hard at this point, and even though I could beat it on normal or easy, I didn't want to drop the difficulty even more cause of the pin drops. So I did the side quests and the pigs and bought the social network that allowed me to hold more money and that would make my dupe pin sell for more. I felt like it was time to start working towards stronger pins and better threads to do more damage, so I did a bit of farming on Red Noise. I could come back to this chapter later and be the boss then, sure, but I knew the other bosses would absolutely destroy me at this rate. So I kept doing the chapters, but only focusing on cleaning up all of the side quests and erasing the pigs. And I need to talk about this pig here, cause it's absolutely awful. It's the worst. There are a few different types of pigs when it comes to pig noise. The easiest type is when you just have to attack them until they die. Then there's the type where they multiply and become smaller pigs. Then you have to kill those smaller pigs and they become even smaller pigs. But this one's fine, you just have to erase all of them. There is the type where you just have to use a certain type of damage, which is okay. The red and blue pigs where you have to attack them and they don't actually die, just change colors. So you have to make them all red or you have to make them all blue and then you're done. And there is this type right here. You'll have to erase the black pig and the white pig at the same time. But they run around a lot when you want to damage both of them. And they are glued together when you want to damage just one. And this clip, the white one kept healing himself, so it was infuriating because every time the white was low enough on health, he wouldn't be nowhere near close to black. And when he would get close to black again, he would have healed itself. And so if I attacked both of them, I would kill the black one and not the white one. And it would come back in full health. A few chapters later, and I was done with Fred's remind images getting this trophy. And then I went back to another day, where I got the last 4 peaks and popped this one. Before going for the last dive, which is the most challenging one in the game, I needed the 6 Black Cat pins. They are the strongest pin set in the game, and when you equip all of them, they give you a huge damage boost. I believe it's like 200% or something. For this, I had to farm some bosses and hope for it to drop. So aside for the 2 pins that you can buy on stores, this is the first one that I'm going to farm. So I have to defeat the boss and spawns here for Black Hat cards, and I hope to get it fast. It only drops on hard, so I'm going to raise my level a little bit, even though it lowers my drop rate, but just to be able to defeat it.
Don't distract me next time.
Yes, finally! So I'm going for Black Cat Comet next, and for this pin I have to beat the final boss of week 2 day 7 on the hardest difficulty, and for that I'll have to replay the whole chapter again, so I'll probably make a save before the fight, so if I don't drop it I can reload the save and try again, instead of having like to play the whole chapter again a bunch of times until I get it.
It is an honor to be recognized.
Yes, let's go. Third time. So that wasn't as complicated as the previous one. Next one is Black Hat Blades, and for this one I'm back on week 3 day 7, the second day 7, and I have to fight this blue boss here to get it.
Damn, guess I ain't on my game today.
First try. For the last one, which is Black Cat Burn, I went back to another day and I have to fight this boss here, either on normal or on hard to get the drop. And I was going to do it on hard, but I've tried twice and I got one shot both of the times. So to make it easier for me, I'm just going to do it on normal. This
Careful!
boss fight is
Something's not right!
absolutely brutal. I've tried it so many times in different difficulties and with different levels, and it can even one-shot you on easy. Punishes you if you button mash, it punishes you if you use the same attack pattern, it punishes you for existing. I was counting how many tries it would take me to drop the pin at first, but honestly I lost count. When it looked like I was making some progress and started to understand the fight, I was unshot. Over and over and over. I then found out that this boss was the secret boss of the game, and that made a lot of sense since this game is from Square Enix, and you know how they are with secret bosses. And that also made sense like why I was being obliterated so easily. That is, until this happened. I did it!
Well, at least we survived.
Are you kidding me? That I didn't get a drop? What the And yeah, the pin didn't drop. I was so frustrated that I decided to call it a day and come back on the next day and try again then. I popped the trophy for erasing 6,000 noises when I was grinding a few levels. Unfortunately, I wasn't
We got
recording
this.
at the time because I thought the trophy was super far away, but here's the screenshot for you. So I went back a few levels here to clean up some of the blue bosses, the blue noise that dropped the secret reports, because they were demolishing me at first, but I probably can handle them now. And I need a few more levels, and as you can see, like my hunger bar is empty. So whenever I eat, I get a raise in some stats, and so I want to work with that to make it easier for the pin to drop when I fight the secret boss again. Cause like as you can see, the levels they don't influence much in the game. Like they don't lower your attack or your defense or anything. They lower your HP and they change like your drop rate. So the lower you go, the less HP you have, but your drop rate goes up. So I spent a few hours on that, and after equipping some threads and eating a bunch of food to boost my stats, to give me a better chance of not dying, the pin's drop rate was around 94%, which I hoped was enough, cause I really didn't want to fight that boss a third time. The fight was going, well, kind of. I was managing to take small bits of his health bar, and I was being super conservative about when to hit. I was almost sure I would beat him first try this time, until this happened. He was there. No! Yeah, so I win again.
One eternity later.
Oh god. Okay, okay.
Well, everyone
Did
has
it
their
drop?
off days.
Yes! Yes! Finally! And with that fight finally over, I had all 6 Black Cat pins, so I just had to equip them. Full house. Okay, that took so long. Okay, so with full house done, I can do the last dive, and by doing the last dive, I get enough friendship points so I can max out all of the social network. So that will get me two trophies, and by getting 100% on the social network, I will get a secret report, which is the only one that I'm missing. And by getting that, I will get the last one, and then I'll get the trophy for all of the secret reports. So a bunch of things in one go. After some more fighting, I went to get food and the last link I needed for the social network. And then this happened.
I kinda love this.
Famous foodie. What's this for? Became a regular at every restaurant. Okay, was not expecting that. But this I was expecting social butterfly. So this is for connecting all of the people on the social network. Okay, so since we're here, is this the record shop?
Hey there!
Yeah,
What's
so
up?
let's buy all of the CDs here, and I think this should give me a trophy. No music, no life. Now with the last dive done, I just have to buy all of this. Skill savvy, and secret sleuth. Okay, so I'm done with it. There was one more thing I wanted to do before I began grinding for pins and pin mastery, since I was still on another day. There is this boss rush with 11 bosses to beat, and at the end you get a trophy. This was also the last trophy tied to any sort of quest or side quest, and after that it was just a huge grind ahead of me. Bring the noise.
Well,
Let's
everyone
go.
has their off days.
Then it was time for pin writing, which means I would have to erase a huge amount of noise while switching the pins that I hadn't already mastered until now. There are also pins that only evolve when equipped by a certain character, and I'll have to do those as well. There are some trophies that I will get progress on while grinding for pins, and possibly even pop them, like the one for getting max level, the one for fighting all kinds of noise,
I think we've got
and the
this.
one for completing 80% of the Noisepedia. It's all kinda related since I will get XP while mastering pins, and complete more of the Noisepedia by changing difficulties for specific pin drops. I wasn't expecting it, but somewhere along the way I popped this trophy.
It is an honor to be
Favorite
recognized.
customer. This is for getting a VIP level 5 on all stores.
Don't distract
Master
me.
of the enemies. Okay, so this is for fighting each type of enemy available in the game. Letter of pins. So this is for mastering 200 types of pins. So I only need 100 more to be done with it. So to get more Noisepedia percentage, I not only have to register all types of noise in it, but also know which pins drop and which difficulty for each one. So for example, looking at this boss, even at level 1 of 96, I only have a 40% chance of dropping the ultimate difficulty pin. That happens to be a blue noise after clearing the game. So if I chain 2 red noise with it, my drop rate gets tripled and I can force the pin to drop. This boss will only drop this one pin, so if I want the normal and easy drops for it, I have to replay the fight 2 more times, and that applies to almost all noise, making it a massive grind. And all of that for a bit more Noisepedia percentage completion. And then I finally got it. Nice know-it-all. What's this for? 80% of the Noisepedia. Okay. That fight was a nightmare. Holy sh. So I kept at it, beating the bosses that became increasingly harder and that needed bigger and bigger chains to get the pin drop while I tried to master the ones that I had equipped. There were 3 left on these hard ones, and I was fighting one of them when this happened.
Wow, I rule. Not bad, yo.
All grown up. Hang on. I lost this fight like so many times that I leveled up twice while trying to beat it. So that's level 100. So one last grind. A bunch of time passed, and I was sitting at 311 of 333 pins. So I only needed 22 more for the trophy. Some of them needed to be evolved when being equipped by a certain character. Some of them I had to either buy or trade, and some were obtained from mobs by manipulating the difficulty and drop rate. These were fine. I was doing them a bit at a time, mastering what I already had before hunting for new ones. The problem was, again, those pins that were only dropped by one boss in one difficulty. I knew I hadn't done 2 of them yet because they were 2 very challenging bosses that needed big chains to bring the drop rate close to or at 100%. But by looking at which ones I was missing, I noticed that I had to fight Shiba Alpha twice. If this was a blue noise like the other 2 that I mentioned, it wouldn't be a problem. Aside from the difficulty, that is. But to get to Shiba Alpha, I had to replay all of another day. So that means all 3 bosses before him, just for 1 drop. That wasn't even guaranteed. And I had to do it twice. I knew I would demolish Shiba Alpha on normal, so that's what I did first, getting one of the pins.
Gotta get my head back in the zone.
The fight on Ultimate ended up being very doable and way less difficult than I thought. The main problem now was the depressing 56% drop rate on a boss fight that didn't allow me to chain Red Noise, which meant the pin was nowhere near guaranteed at the end of the fight. I either had to be very lucky or play the same encounter a bunch of times until it dropped. Luckily, I was able to get it on my 3rd go.
It is an honor to be recognized.
A while after that, and when I say a while, it's like 1 day later, I finally mastered 300 pins for one of the trophies I was going for. But it gets worse. This time not because of difficulty, but even lower drop rates. At this point, I was going for the 5 remaining pins when I came across this one, with an awful drop rate of 5%. So, the Plague Wolf is an unchainable noise because these Plague Noise encounters are like an event, so I couldn't do that to increase the rates. I could try defeating it with a killer remix, and although that was the best option that I had, it would only bring up the drop rate to 15%, which was still very, very low. The encounter I decided to farm had 2 Plague Wolves together, and even though 2 chances at 15% each were still not great, it was what I had. So I got ready for countless resets and hoped it wouldn't take me too long.
Worse, you feel?
No sweat.
Could have been worse, you feel?
I expected nothing less.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
And then this happened.
Are we awesome or what? Alright, could have been worse.
Okay, so that took me 8 resets. Holy sh. Next one was Charge Punch E, with a drop rate of around 53%. I was fine with this one, although it was kinda low since I had fought that boss a bunch of times already, although not in this difficulty. but I managed to get a killer remix right at the end of the fight and dropped the pin on my first try.
It is an honor to be recognized.
Next were the two pins dropped by Channable Noises that I had been avoiding for a long time.
Rindu,
I would
I
need
think
a
this
6
might be
chain to
curtains for
guarantee
us.
Shiba's pin drop.
No,
That was only
we can still
possible
do
on
this.
Ultimate.
We have to.
And boy, what an absolute nightmare it was. I got to the point that I was dying every single time when there was around 25% of his health bar left, and it got me raging so bad that my neighbors were probably questioning my sanity. Jokes on them, cause I didn't have any left.
Say goodnight.
And when I finally got it, I screamed so loud my mic didn't even pick it up.
A gift from me.
No, this can't be.
Don't distract me next time.
Phoenix was the easier chain-wise, since it had an 87% drop rate. So chaining it with one red noise would be enough to get it. Or so I thought, cause when I tried, I couldn't chain it with anything. That was fine though. The drop rates were high enough that I could probably manage to get it without boosting it to 100%.
Let's keep
It took me a few tries to defeat it, although it wasn't nearly as infuriating as Shiba on Ultimate.
really killed it out there.
I got to the pin on the first clear, thankfully.
Damn. Guess I ain't on my game.
That meant I was at 332 of 333 pins, so I had to get another one. That one was simple, I just had to buy it. The thing is, this was the most expensive pin in the game, and it cost like 3.3 million yen. And in my wallet at that time I had 100k, so I had to grind for money as well.
Just doing my.
So this is the best spot to farm money. So we're on Cat Street on another day, and there are like this buffers that if you do them on ultimates they drop 100k. There's like a chance of not dropping, but if you just 7 chain you can get like 1 million per pass. I have enough money now to buy the last pin, so let's go here into Tokyo Plaza. And the pin that we need is in a store here. And there is also a thread that I have to buy there for another trophy, but it's not going to pop now because there is one more missing aside from the one that I'm going to get. Okay, so let's get this and this. Troop Enthusiast. Okay, so that's for acquiring all pins. So now we're going to go to Quirky Panic because there's a thread there that I have to buy for another trophy. So you should get the trophy for all threads when we buy this one. Fashionista. Okay, let's go. There is one more trophy that I want to get here, and this is the one for eating all of the dishes. So I have 2 dishes left, and both of them are here in Jogenzaka.
Let's move.
So I just have to eat at the 2 restaurants and get the trophy there.
Time to
Let's
eat.
dig in.
At least I ain't
I
hungry
kind of
anymore.
love this.
Experimental eater. All right.
Namaste.
I am only missing one trophy now, so I loaded up week 2 day 3 again. Cause I need to win 20 reduction chain, and this is the best place to do it. Cause There's also like this Scramble Slam noises that spawn. So after that, I am finally getting the platinum after like a huge grind.
Do anything stupid.
Last one. Okay.
Say goodnight! Wow, we really killed it out there.
High stake
That was
hijinks.
almost too easy.
And the platinum. This trophy ends with you. Let's go. So here's the platinum. The first trophy was on October 22 and the last one was on November 6. The PS4 doesn't record how many hours you played, but I'll put a screenshot here from the PlayStation app. This game took me 145 hours to platinum, so I disagree with the guide when it says it should take around 80 hours. If I had a sort of a roadmap to follow, or if I would do it again, I would maybe be able to shave off 20 or 30 hours of this time, which is still pretty far from the 80 hours it says it takes. I also don't agree that it's a 4 out of 10 in difficulty. I've done some 4 out of 10s, and this was definitely harder than those. So I would say that a 5 out of 10 is fair, or maybe even like an easy 6 out of 10. The game itself is amazing. The story was interesting, the fights were super cool, super chaotic, and very colorful. And the game had a bunch of stuff
Brace
to do.
yourselves, everyone.
But the best about this game for me was the soundtrack that pairs beautifully with the boss fights and with the game vibes in general. So let me know in the comments below if you want to see more JRPG Platinums and which ones do you want to see. That's it for this one, guys. As always, thank you for watching. Leave a like to help the channel out and subscribe to see more grinds like this. See you soon. Ciao.